Hey, Gluttoneers. Quick disclaimer about our interview episode we are putting out right now. I smoked a joint, or at least part of a joint, of Space Melon OG, and it sent me right the fuck to space.
We had her at a certain point in the interview, and then we lost her to the terpenes and cannabinoids of her space. So I kind of finished it up with our guest, Katie. But that's the risk we're willing to take around here for our listeners.
Just have to listen to me babble incoherently a little bit. Just a little bit. Mostly it's Becca and Katie making sense. So wanted to warn you ahead of time.
We hope you enjoy our first interview. Find us at highlutony.com, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and be sure to check out the BlisSmith podcast and get some of your own tools for finding bliss.
Enjoy!
Welcome to High Gluttony. I am Becca.
And I'm Gretchen.
We've got a little bit of a surprise for everyone today and something that's a little bit new for us. We are all about joy and pleasure here at High Gluttony.
We thought it was time to bring on a guest who is just pure joy and an absolute pleasure to be around and spreads a message of finding your bliss. So welcome our first guest ever, Katie Smith.
Katie, welcome. Hello.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Being a first guest is a big deal. So I'm ready to party. I'm ready to own it and just hopefully something really magical comes out of this.
Already. I feel it.
It will. It is. Yeah. I don't know why I said hopefully. We know. We know what's going to happen.
We know. We can feel it.
Yeah.
So we usually kick off our episodes by talking about what we're enjoying in that moment. So what we're drinking or eating or smoking. And so I'll kick it off. We're all drinking some version of a rosé. Mine is actually a Pinot Gris. That's kind of a rosé.
Yeah. No, it's we can get into the terminology if you want, but otherwise we can just skip over that and say fuck it.
Okay. But it's a 2018 from Forlorn Hope. It's awesome. It's super fun. And then I am smoking LA Confidential, which has 22% THC. And then it's got caryophyllene, limonene, and linalool. And so, Katie, we're just listing off some of the common terpenes since we've been trying to figure out how our own bodies respond to different terpenes and cannabinoids. So we're kind of tracking that progress as we go.
Cool.
I think so. So far, though, unfortunately, Becca's been the only one that's been able to track. I got really excited today because for 420, Ease was doing a sale this week. And so I ordered a bunch of stuff because they were doing 42% off. So I was like, I got really excited because I love a pre-roll joint, And I got this joints and they were and inside it came with this little card that says, "No, get to know your terpenes." And I was like, I finally have something that might have the terpene information.
Yay!
They don't have it for this strain.
Oh, so close, so far away.
Yeah. So I was so bummed.
Brutal. So brutal.
So I am smoking a Lake Grade Sativa. This is Space Melon OG. Is it really lovely? I smoked a whole one of half of one of these the other day, and it was a really nice light high. And I'm looking it up on this website called iHeartJane.com, and they say best used for game night or a dinner party with friends or cleaning the house.
Same spirit for all three.
Yeah. And I have a Bouchain Bacchus Collection Vin Gris of Pinot Noir. It's very similar to your Pinot Gris.
And then we gifted Katie something. So this is more reflective of, I guess, our taste. I hope she's enjoying it.
It's really nice.
Okay. Awesome.
I like the label.
Yeah,
it's really cute.
What's it called, Katie, just for our people who can't see you?
Luke Belair. I mean, probably butchered that, but it
Beautiful.
says established in. It's a French product, so
I mean,
fancy.
we're in. Yeah,
Got transported to France.
probably on a boat.
But yeah, it's delicious. The color's beautiful. I'm thoroughly enjoying.
Awesome.
I usually have some weed gummies. I didn't pull them out today because they usually make me overly chill, which I don't feel like I'd be like the best guest. So I'm just keeping it cool with the old rosé.
With the chilled beverages. Whatever
that,
makes
or
you...
I just pull out a cereal box and just eat the whole thing on the podcast. Just like, so I was like, I'll save them from that.
Yeah,
please, because that would be pain to edit.
Seriously. But if it brings you joy, I guess we'll make it work.
Boy, does it. Boy, does it.
Oh, boy, does it. So we know a little bit about you. We thought the next part we would ask you some really quick first thing that comes to your mind sort of answers so people can get to know you a little bit better. And then we have some more sort of real questions for you. Favorite karaoke song?
Oh, doo-wop that thing, Lauryn Hill.
Good choice.
Very good choice.
Been working on it for years. It's a real doozy.
Okay. Next time we're all together, karaoke bar.
Karaoke.
Lauryn Hill.
I'll bust it out.
Okay. Most used emoji.
The hug one.
Okay.
With the hands up front. It just, for me, it doesn't look like a hug. It looks like I'm excited.
Hello.
Yeah.
We're already learning things. I didn't know what that was. I just thought that was I'm excited. I didn't realize that was a hug. Like,
I think it's supposed to be a hug, but I feel like you're right, Gretchen. For me, it's an I'm excited emoji.
There you go.
They did it wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what it really means. Yeah. Would you visit space if you had the chance?
You know what? I was gonna try to sound cool and say yes, but I don't think I would. That freaks me out.
Same.
Yeah, the ride over there, that's the part that it would freak me out. I think once I got there, I'd be like, this is cool, but yeah, I'm gonna say no. Gosh, loser.
I was gonna say the possibility of being blown to pieces is a little high for most people. I would totally go. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go. I don't want to be in gravity anymore. Please take me to space. So.
Yeah. I mean, high risk, high reward for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Really wanted to say yes, but can't do it.
Thanks for your honesty. Would you rather live where it only snows or where it's always over 100 degrees?
Snow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not a hot girl. Well, you're a hot girl, but.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I would rather cuddle up. I feel like my sweatshirts are my uniform, so that'd be perfect. My daily uniform.
Nice. Gretchen, what about you?
100, over 100. It would have to
over
be
100.
Over 100. I hate snow. I hate cold. I would lose my mind. So.
All right. Well, now we know that about Gretchen too.
What about you, Becca?
Probably snow. I grew up outside of Las Vegas and it was hot often. And I just, if it was like that all the time, I don't know if I could do it. But the snow is annoying. So coffee or tea, Katie?
Coffee.
Okay. Who would play you in a movie?
Maybe like a Amy Poehler.
Nice.
Yeah. There's usually my answer is Beyonce, but I know that she wouldn't be willing, and it's hard for me.
Would that she could be so lucky though to play the Katie?
Yeah. She'd have imposter syndrome. She'd be like, I don't know if I can pull it off.
I know.
Katie's
there's only
so
one
great.
Katie Smith.
Yeah. So
okay.
I think
Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler could handle it. Yeah.
Nice. Does food taste better when you make it yourself, when it's from a restaurant, or when it's made by a friend?
Oh, restaurant, I think. Yeah.
Restaurant.
Oh, restaurant.
Quick answer. Yeah. Gretchen, what would you say on this one? I'm curious.
Home.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, don't ask, don't ask, don't ask. Yes, I'm that attention. It's me.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah, having eaten at your house, that makes sense.
I actually made a video this week on 420 of my newest invention. I'm calling it a peep taco.
Oh yeah.
Is there marshmallows in there? Is there marshmallows in there?
Oh yes. So you take a peep, take those marshmallow peeps, and you toast it with I use my what do you call that?
Torch thing?
Yeah, blowtorch, my blowtorch. So you toast it with a blowtorch, and then while it's still warm, you push chocolate chips into it so that it looks like a taco, and then eat it. So it's like a s'more sans graham cracker. It was stupid good. Like, so I made a video, and at the end I show myself eating it, and I go, and I had to rewind it because I couldn't understand what I was saying, but I was like, I'm a fucking genius, I think is what I said.
I love that you had to rewind it for yourself.
I was high, I forgot what I said.
Yeah. Behold, peep taco.
Yum, seriously.
Yeah, that's funny.
So.
Parsley or cilantro, Katie?
Cilantro, but like, don't try to give me like a ton of it. Mostly because I like Mexican food, and so like that comes with the territory, but they can both like fuck off.
Oh wow!
Yeah, wow.
Like I don't know. I just don't need either one. Like I don't know. You can edit that out. You can enter like they can both like get out of town.
Oh no!
We are. Every episode has to be marked as explicit for us.
Just like I don't know, man. It's like I'll find my greenery in another way.
That's fair.
Yeah.
We know I'm a cilantro person. Well, parsley, gross. Get it out of here. Gretchen, parsley or cilantro?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is a good rounding of answers there.
Yep. Yeah. I'm sorry for what I said about them, Gretchen.
It's okay. I know lots of people that hate parsley, especially. That's the more surprising one. I know because with cilantro, you have the people that have the gene that makes them not like it. So like, there's a lot of people that just don't like cilantro.
Yeah. Just like a little bit to be like, it's on my taco, yay! Yeah. But like that's it. Like little.
Oh hi.
You want
goodbye.
The expression of herbs, like not a full interaction, just a smattering.
Yeah, like there's a fleck. Nailed it.
Oh, might have fallen off from somebody else's plate. Perfect, thanks. That's all I needed. The last of our icebreaker popcorn style questions. What is your favorite thing to cook and why?
I can add baking. Like baking's okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I'm very literal, so I'm like, I don't know if baking's allowed in this answer. But I did jump on the sourdough train over COVID, and the reason why I really like it is it's become really meditative for me. Like I really enjoy the process. So yeah, it's just been fun and to like learn and nurture it and try new things with it. So I've been having a good time. Yeah.
And then share it with people too. And we get to follow your journey of baking.
I must share it because if I eat it all, it would, nope.
That's like the number one problem with baking your own bread though, is that it's like, you have to eat it, like, and there's a very limited window. Yeah.
You're like, but it's warm. Like, we have to try it while it's warm, right? Yeah, totally. Oh, but now it's a day old. So we have to eat it. Hurry fast.
Oh, no.
So there's never not an excuse to eat it.
Yeah. In a very quick and overwhelming kind of way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's like really full on bread. Made of bread. Yeah.
We did it. You did it. Good job. Now we know so much about you and everybody.
Actually, no, because you and I did not answer the karaoke song.
Oh yeah. Let's hear those.
Okay. Go ahead, Gretchen.
Only because I really want to tell you mine because craving to go karaoke. So I thought it was so funny when I opened this up today and I was like, I hadn't seen that question before. And like, I have been thinking about karaoke so much. So I was like, Becca is scary. She lives in my brain. Don't stop believing.
Ooh, solid.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to listen to it right now. I think I would do, I guess, I don't know if I have like a karaoke song, but the song I always want to request on my birthday, which I would probably end up singing, is Signed, Sealed, Delivered. So I think that would be my karaoke.
That's
I
really
think I could
cute.
hit that tone most of the time.
So.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I like that.
So then I guess it's time to switch gears a little bit and talk about the BlisSmith and have you tell us a little bit more about yourself. We know some things now, but I guess what would you want people to know about yourself?
Cool. So I this question, because I ask it on my podcast a lot too, and I really enjoy how people like craft their answers. And I wouldn't say that I'm good at crafting mine, but I will say that over the years, I've been really intentional about not mentioning what I do, because I think a lot of people lead with like what your job is, and like I'm trying to always remind myself that like, okay, like your job is one thing, but like who are you? So all that to say, maybe I won't even tell you what I do for a living, because like there's so much more to old Smitty. So anywho, I am a mid to late 30s female. I don't like, what are we doing here? See, my guests are better at answering this. And I live in Seattle with my fiance, his name is Chris, and he is a Scottish fellow. So I spend most of my days just mimicking his accent and driving him insane. I mean, I guess for context. No, I'm not telling you what I do for a living now. Now you're going to think I'm in the CIA, which is great.
Yeah.
I recently picked up coaching softball. I used to play it, and now I coach 11 and 12-year-old girls, which is a hoot. That generation is like mind-boggling. I guess all other generations that aren't yours are. But and then just moved to Seattle from the Bay Area. Was in the Bay Area for about 7 years, and moved up to Seattle to start thinking about starting a family and just more space and a new adventure. And then, the BlisSmith podcast. So I started the BlisSmith podcast about a year and a half ago. And I always have had a calling to inspire and motivate other people. And I find that the way that talks to me the most is when people are vulnerable and feel like they're in it together, versus when, you hear someone at a conference like speaking about how they did it and they nailed it and they figured it out. I kind of like the approach more of like fumbling through it and just being a normal human, figuring out normal human things. And so I started the podcast to try to motivate other people and hit audiences, various audiences, not just the ones that would listen to an inspirational podcast, but maybe I always talk about my brother who, is a dude living his life. I'm like, what would my brother want to listen to, and what would like resonate with him? And so I think just people who want to hear different messages of people like them, or want to learn about people who aren't like them. So the premises of the podcast is just people, I think I say finding, forging, and following your bliss. So just figuring out how to be happy, which usually means that there's some sort of like sticking part in the middle. It's something you're trying to overcome. So I like digging into that with people, and it's fun.
Awesome. What made you decide on, you have kind of an interview style format for most of your podcasts. What made you settle on that format and that approach to sort of storytelling in that way?
I think it's because probably truthfully, I really like I like setting the stage and shaping the message as we go, because actually control freak comes up for me, which I don't always consider myself, but I think there's something about, okay, I want a message to get across. So the interview style allows me to keep the guardrails on and make sure that message is told. the other reason is I am a big Brene Brown fan, as many people who do this kind of stuff are. And I really like her interview style. And I mean, I'm obsessed with Oprah, and I love how she brought that out in people. So I think the interview style helps bring out the vulnerability in people, because, you know, it's not often that people just share. So being in a position to pull it out of people, you know, is fun and rewarding.
No, I love that, Katie. I love that. It sounds like your approach to bliss is through struggle, through vulnerability, and hearing those personal stories through your specific kind of guiding interview really highlights how vulnerability can lead to finding something really powerful for yourself.
I'm blessed in that I have so many people around me who are interesting or have such a cool story. And when I ask someone to be on my podcast, I really want to encourage them to share the story that I so much connected with. And so part of it is just like, the message is yours, and I'm here to make sure that people can, you know, people hear it.
Yeah, that's lovely. What's the most exciting thing to you about your podcast? And at the flip side of that, what sort of challenges you the most when you're creating these?
Yeah, the exciting part is when I get feedback from people who aren't my mom. Like because my mom is always going to be positive and supportive, which is amazing. But I think it's like when I get a random text from someone I haven't talked to in a bunch of years, or just someone I didn't expect to be someone who would listen to it and just give me feedback on how a certain episode made them feel. It's just so encouraging to keep going. When I find out that I'm touching more than just like my immediate circle. And that was one of the things that I made an agreement with myself about was, you know, as long as I'm able to get a message to one person, which I think is cliche. I think a lot of people say that, but it's true. Like if one person hears it, like I've done what I was supposed to do with it. I think the challenging part always is the motivation to do it. And a lot of that is because like, I'm not always blissful, you know, like life is hard, and like, especially COVID. And so having the energy to take myself through it, plus someone I care about or have just met that is like, you know, going to be on my podcast, is like having that motivation to share an inspiring message and maybe not in that moment feel inspired, you know? And so that's one thing that, you know, keeping that train rolling, even if I'm not in mint condition, is always a challenge.
That makes sense. It's like twofold, because it's worth it to get the message out, and then it takes something out of you to get the message out.
Yeah. And I do a lot of therapy around making sure that I'm taking care of myself first. And, and so sometimes I'm like, I'm not touching any podcast equipment, like no way, Jose. But then I know, that I'm not doing what I'm trying to do. It's weird. It's a tough one. So I push myself through it quite a bit, but sometimes I don't.
And maybe that's all part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, I have one question and then a couple of sort of sub questions that I threw in here, since this felt a little broad, but I still want to hear you answer it. If BlisSmith is all about finding your bliss, what does bliss mean for you? You've already mentioned the vulnerability piece of it, but as Katie, what does bliss look like? And then my sub questions were, what is bliss? What is bliss within our society? Which could mean a lot of things. And I specifically thought of sort of a capitalistic, imperialistic driven planet, kind of how do you get to operate bliss in that? And then what if your bliss is illegal? So how do you navigate that? So that was a lot, wherever you want to start.
Okay. I'll see if I can hit it all, including encouraging people not to do things illegally or something. So I do the popcorn questions on my podcast too. I call them hot tamales, and I ask people what is bliss. And oftentimes the answer is something around happiness and joy, which I think it's something around there. What I've learned over time, for me, bliss is contentment and being at peace. because early on, so I follow your bliss was like this quote that I loved, like in my early 20s. I was like, yeah, I'm just going to follow my bliss. And I found that the definition of that has changed, where it used to be very much like treat yourself, like eat that cupcake, drink a bottle of champagne, get a makeover or whatever. But, some of those things are awesome at the time and you should definitely do them. And it's not the whole picture. And it sometimes can be like a mask to actually feeling true contentment. And the thing that I realized is like, listen, I'm following my bliss a lot with these donuts, and I'm like gaining weight and not really happy with like my health situation. So that's actually not bliss. That's me covering up for something. So I think it's evolved to just feeling content and at peace with your life and knowing that it truly is like the whole journey versus like one blip in time. Yeah, I don't think it's ever fully achieved. I think it's like, it's always a, roller coaster. And the idea is that you're, just actively trying to overcome it all the time and being okay with like which peak or valley that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I got most of the answer, but like, what if it's illegal? That's great. Yeah, again, like, I think it kind of goes back to my donut example. Like, there's like a quick fix type of bliss. Like, what does it make you happy? Or like, what do you actually need to be content and at peace? And I mean, if it's illegal, like, I don't know, like, you do you. But my whole like podcasting is like, what's on the inside that's content. Did I get? I don't know. Did I get some stuff there? I feel like
Yeah.
No, I thought that was really right on, because I was like, kind of went off on my own little tangent here for a little bit, but that's pretty much exactly how I would put it. Although I was thinking comfort, being able to have comfort
would be bliss for you too.
I was like, no, that's really what I meant, was not necessarily comfort, but peace and, well, whatever it is you said. I don't 100% remember right now, but you said it and it was really good. So,
and it gave Gretchen some words that she forgot.
That I completely forgot.
Wow, that's next level inspiration. Like, I'm really unlocking a new type where it's like I leave people dumbfounded and speechless. They're like,
it's completely absorbed and then forgotten because it's just it's now part of the DNA. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
I am impressive.
That's happening. Yeah.
Good news is I will listen to this again in the editing process. So I will remember and then be like, yes, okay, yes, it was exactly spot on. I was agreeing with everything.
Yeah. Also, to be clear, I still think that eating donuts is following your bliss. But it's just, sometimes it's not that simple and there's stuff going on the inside.
Yeah. Donuts, though.
Oh, they're the best.
Delicious. Speaking of donuts and bliss, how have you tried to hold on to your bliss in this last year of interestingness and chaos?
Yeah, definitely gratitude. I think especially like with the beginning of COVID, just like, okay, I'm thankful that I have a place to like be in lockdown and I have a job and I have, stability and support and all those things. So I just think like constant reminders of what I do have has been really helpful to stay sane. Also just like very much like being patient with myself. Like it's such a mind F right now with everything that's been going on. And so just like, if I want to hide under a blanket all day, just like, don't be mad at myself for doing it. Just do it. Like it's a tough time. It's overwhelming. No one knows what they're doing in a pandemic. And so just like allowing myself to like be affected by it has been, I think, really helpful. Instead of like, gosh, like, why is this messing me up so bad? It's just like, yeah, it's messing everyone up in some capacity. Just go with it.
Right. Give yourself that flexibility and that compassion.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. That sounds great. That's a good reminder for all of us too. In the midst of last year, but just going forward, just, if you've got to have your lay in bed day, you've got to have your lay in bed day.
You got to do it. I think some of the stuff that got removed from my life in the last year, like, good riddance. It's like cilantro and parsley. Like, they can just stay away,
Right.
But I heard there was an article that was like, when we come back to normal, think about what you want to put back into your life. And I tried to really think about that. Like, I actually don't think I'll put everything back, like the weeks where I have like 4 social things going on, or making commitments that I actually don't want to do. So I think in that way, I'm like, this is great. Like, I've actually learned a new way that I can live my life that I'm pretty pumped about.
Being able to take a full minute to like appreciate your surroundings, basically. Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to get to the point of leaving the house again, but I'll try and get there.
One day.
One day.
Or not. Like, maybe this is your new life, and it sounds like you're a fantastic cook, so you just do that and you'll be great. You got the weed, you got the cooking, you're golden.
I'm set. Yeah.
It's true. We've always said that I just got to get my way to Gretchen's if there's an apocalypse, and then be able to figure it out. So
yeah,
Katie
I can
too.
See that.
It's getting bigger, Gretchen. You're gonna have to
the compound. It's gonna
bigger.
Have to happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm definitely in.
Yeah. So this conversation about bliss and what's important to you and vulnerability brings me sort of naturally to authenticity. And I think that can be a little bit of a buzzword these days, but I think many of us are still trying to sort out what that does mean for us as individuals, and what does it mean to sort of bring your true self to all of the places we exist, in that work, friendship, relationships, within community, within ourselves. And what are your thoughts about how do you, I think finding bliss and finding authenticity kind of overlap, but are not necessarily the same thing. And I wonder how you think those two connect, and what, is it a chicken and an egg, or does something kick off first? And how do you feel about that?
That's interesting. I think that you have to be content with who you are, which is like, I guess, more on what I was defining as bliss, to know what being authentically yourself means. And what I'm learning, especially like coaching young girls and, working with people of all ages, is that that's really hard to figure out in a society that has like TikTok telling you what to do, or Instagram. And so it's really hard to actually know who you are, and who you want to be. And then, of course, it just also comes with age, like trial and error. So I think authenticity is being your true self unapologetically, which again, like, is really hard. And so like some of the things that I've had to like work through, because I think I do a pretty good job of like being my whole self in all of the crevices of my life, but it's become more available to me because I've become less worried about what other people think. And I always joke that I'm like a member of People Pleasers Anonymous, because I've lived my whole life people pleasing. And so like I became kind of the class clown type to sort of make sure that everybody was happy, even if something bad was happening. It's like, it's okay, like, look over here, it's funny. And I would do that, like, say I wanted to tell someone no, which is sometimes really hard to do. And so I would say, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, but like, it's because I'm so lame and like want to stay at home. Isn't that late? To try to distract from just like my actual needs. And so I think I've learned that to be authentically yourself, you have to know that it's okay to please yourself and who you are. And when I think about the word, I'm like, authentically yourself means like fly the freak flag, or be extra silly, or be whoever you are. But I also think it means like be the dark darker side, and I shouldn't even call it that, but just like the boundary setting side and the like selfish side, and create that space, and say no when that's part of being authentically yourself, is saying no when you mean no. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like navigating through the answer, but I don't know. Those are some of the things I think about.
Boundary setting, learning what your boundaries are is part of figuring out who your authentic self is kind of some of what I heard in that.
Yeah, it's just as much as, I love to sing at the top of my lungs in the middle of the street as it is, I like my quiet time on Sundays and will not be spending time with anyone outside of my home.
Got it. Yep.
Doesn't always have to be some weird thing. It could just be nothing, really.
Yeah, it's just like owning exactly who you are, and it's like the sparkly stuff, and then it's the like, nope, this is me, this is what I like, don't care what you like.
And there's like power in embracing that.
Tons.
We struggled a lot when we were launching our podcast because we sort of had to decide that we were what we called like, or what we had seen like coming out of the cannabis closet, because there are so many stigmas and fears that surround cannabis usage. And I think I still struggle with what that means then to be authentic if this isn't something I share in all of my spaces. It's a struggle.
I think you bring up a good point, is that it reminds me a bit of, we're seeing it all the time where there is a sense of privilege in being able to be your authentic self. And I think, like to your example, like the thing you like to do is not legal in all 50 states. So you don't have the privilege to let that fly as much as something else. And then I think we see that with systemic racism and what people can or have and haven't been allowed to do in the workplace because of what they look like. And so I think you bring up a good point that it's really cute for me to say, just like, do you in all corners of the world, but like there are many things out there that do limit people from living their best life.
Sure. And I think for us here at High Gluttony, one of those important things is legalize it, decriminalize it.
Yeah.
So everyone can be authentically learning how their body responds to it.
Just even having that reconciliation of how I'm going to get real mad because I've been listening to something this week about all the systemic racism with marijuana, and because it's been on like everything because 420 this week. And so, it's just, shit. Apparently it is very nice weed for cleaning the house, because that is exactly what happened the other day. Having a conversation, on the other hand, that's good.
Less so,
yeah.
I didn't even smoke like a third of it yet.
Well, you're talking about something you listened to that made you mad?
I was responding to something about, I had a whole point about like how the decriminalization and then doing, the social justice part of it, because of just ridiculous prejudice that they arbitrarily just like assigned to it. So, just the infuriating nature of that, I feel like was sort of related to what you just said, but I'm really not sure at this point. So,
well, I think you're saying, Katie mentioned systemic racism and the way like you can't necessarily always be your authentic self in the workplace if there are systemic racist structures that exist, which happens in most places. And I think, Gretchen, what I heard you saying too was that like there is also that within the cannabis community, because it was so stigmatized and sort of just assigned to one community, and then everything spiraled from there in terms of it never being appreciated as a medicine, and the continual carceral system that just feeds through these prejudices. So it's a whole thing. Whew, that took a turn.
Becca, you nailed it though. You really brought it together.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yes. That was exactly it, Becca. Thank you for being inside my head. As always.
Those parallels are pretty like insane, and I think that about that a lot. Cause like if I had my way, I would, you know, tell everyone like, you know, have these big, be your authentic self. And I probably will have my way because I really love to talk about that stuff, but you can't go without acknowledging that for some people, it's really hard to be themselves because of how society is. It doesn't mean that we all shouldn't like try to be our authentic self and try to remove those barriers for those who can't, but it's really sticky. And like the fact that it happens in the cannabis community, just as, you know, in the same way, it's like such a cool thought that I hadn't even considered.
Yeah. It sounds like you're saying like, try to be as authentic as you can, provided you're in a safe enough space to do that. And many times that wasn't accessible for people who were consuming cannabis. Or still not.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, so someone who like me, who feels pretty darn lucky to be able to be as closely authentic as I possibly can, should be continuing to do that for myself, for my own well-being, but also like looking around to see how I can remove barriers for other people.
Yeah, not just making authentic space for yourself, but creating authentic structures. So how do you balance the need to be yourself and present in all of these spaces and the need for privacy? How do you decide how much to share through the podcast and through, I have another social media question, so I don't want to jump into that, even though I almost said that just now. But yeah, how do you balance your need for privacy and how much you want to share with people?
I'm pretty comfortable sharing anything. My lens is usually, is this helping others or is it helping me? And what I mean by that is like, does it help me get sympathy that I'm not looking for? Like on the podcast, like I'd be happy to share anything. I think I'm always like mindful of how my past or present like impacts others. Like, you know, maybe it's like a family thing or whatever, but I try to get really real because like that's the whole point. Like I don't want to be viewed. I don't want to censor anything that's going on because that's the point. I want people to not feel alone in their weird shit or hard shit. So I don't try to balance. I think that it's as raw as possible. And then like my guardrails are like, will this like you know, hurt anyone's feelings? I obviously take into consideration, or am I doing it for the right reasons? Am I doing it to like exploit a thing, or am I doing it because I really want it to help people?
Mm-hmm. So open book with bowling bumper lanes or something.
Yeah. It's like the kiddie bumpers, but like sometimes they still get over. Like,
within reason.
Yeah.
I love it. So then our last question here is about social media, which is, as we're all aware, it's a very fascinating part of our lives now, in which we can share really sort of curated snippets of our lives. Most of those times, those are positive. And so this kind of speaks to what you were saying earlier in terms of vulnerability and sharing your struggles. And it feels like oftentimes people will post a moment of honesty or vulnerability, and then there's this huge uproar of like how brave you are and how inspiring that is. And that's awesome. But it feels almost like humans have so many emotions. We feel so many things and we hide so many things. So how do we get to a point where that kind of real vulnerability is normalized? And how do we find a way to do that? Or do you even think that's possible on social media in an authentic way?
Yeah. I remember like early in Facebook, it was very much the whole like, you know, here's me getting engaged, married, having a baby, the exciting stuff, or like something sad, and then everyone piles on and is like, I'm so sorry. And you know, I am cynical that all, you know, I think some of these comments were very much like the person was basically reaching out to get that feedback and support, which like I completely respect. But I think you're right in that it has to be authentic to post something vulnerable. If you're doing it to just get like love, or attention is the word that I think that's a problem. But at the same time, if you're reaching out for attention, there's probably a reason why. And maybe there's something deeper there that like you need to go to therapy for, or you need to like reach out to your friends. I actually just, and listen, I am not a saint. I deleted Instagram from my phone this morning. And why I say I'm not a saint is like, it probably will be back on my phone. Like, let's be real. But I'm so not thrilled with how it's going, because it's still, people are just so crushed in comparing themselves with things that aren't actually real. So I think to your question about like, how do we get it to a place where it is authentic, is like encouraging sharing is really important, and encouraging showing what's under the rug, I think, is so important. And then as someone who's sharing, really considering like, am I sharing this because I want to help others, or I want to lean on others, or I want people to feel comfort in my story? Those are great things to think about, not necessarily like I want attention, which I see a lot, I guess.
It is a thin line, and it is important to be your authentic self. But to your point, sometimes it's still too much to take in, and you've got to sort of just still take a step back and again, figure out what your boundaries are around these things.
Yeah, that's so true. Because sometimes people put something, and I'm an Aquarius, which means, I think it means I'm sensitive. I don't know why I brought that up. I don't follow zodiac at all, but it's just like an Aquarius shout out. But I'm a huge empath, to where like my body is impacted when I see something sad. And so for me, when someone posts something sad, like it takes a lot for me to not go, how do I jump over how do I reach through the phone and help them? So yeah, it is about just understanding what you can handle, and like what is important to your core. And then of course, being community minded, where it's like, cool, I can help in this situation, or I can offer some words of encouragement.
Finding your people pleasing anonymous support group boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Journey. It's a journey.
It is a journey. Where can people find your podcast? Where can they get your information?
Yeah, it's on Spotify and Apple, and it's called the BlisSmith podcast. BlisSmith is one word, only 2 S's, because 3 S's was going to be really obnoxious. And then I'm on the old Instagram at the BlisSmith.
Thank you so much for joining
Instagram,
us.
So
you deleted BlisSmith too?
Oh, no, I didn't. But I just deleted the app, so I can like peek in there.
Oh,
hit me
okay.
up. I'll peek in just for your listeners.
Okay, they'll find you. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. This was fun to hear what you're doing with your podcast, and just hearing a little bit more about the message you're spreading, which we really appreciate.
Thank you. I love what you both are doing, and I'm so honored to be your first guest, and can't wait to see who you have next.
TBD.
Yeah, nice. We can't wait to find out too. Yeah. But you can find us at highgluttony.com, at High Gluttony on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And yeah, we can't wait to share this conversation. Thanks again for being our first guest, Katie. This was great.
Yes, my pleasure. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.